When I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, things were a little different than they are now. It was a lot more free flowing, less rules heavy. The story was the hook. The story was really everything, and um, a great story in the form of an adventure with a very real threat of failure was what the players really craved. More than the story, though, it was kind of a horror survival. Um, and there was a very real chance that your characters would die. Personally, I still play that way today. Much like the Stranger Things kids weren't playing the newest edition of D&D, not the one that they use today. Um, I find it hard to get into. There's such a quagmire of books and tomes and materials that's required to run a modern version campaign. Apparently, there are 44 books now in 5th edition. 44. 44 books. You shouldn't need 44 books to play Dungeons and Dragons. Um, I use 5: Dungeon Master's Guide, Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, Unearthed Arcana, and Deities and Demigods. That's all I use. I make up some of the judgment calls as I go along. Um, because we don't have rules for everything, it's a lot easier for me to make that decision. Um, these are all first edition books that I play with, but they're first edition AD&D. It was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, not just the regular set Dungeons and Dragons, which I had those too. I remember getting my first red box set, basic set for my birthday in 1982. Came with all the books, module, dice, and at that time came with a crayon because you had to color in the numbers on your own dice. You used the crayon to color onto the faces of the dice, wiped it off, and then the residual would stick inside of the numbers. Um, anyway, enough of that nostalgia type stuff. What I really wanted to talk about is the term killer DM. It was a term used a long time ago when I was playing. I haven't heard it recently. I haven't heard it in a very long time. But it referred to a dungeon master that actually tries to kill their players, as opposed to the ones who let your characters miraculously live over and over again via like a video game, or worse yet, the dungeon masters that had adventures that were so easy that players would just go into auto mode, tune out, and it would become boring. I'm proud to say that I'm a killer DM. I try to challenge my players to make them engage with the story, but not just a walkthrough for sure. I want to use innovative traps, as well as playing my monsters to the fullest. Monsters should be played intelligently, not stupidly. You don't just walk through a goblin warren slaughtering everything you see while the monsters sit patiently in their rooms waiting for you to come by and them to be the next ones so that you can grab their treasure. It's yes, it's a dungeon grinder, but it shouldn't tune you out. There should be things that make the players engage at every step. Make the players make hard decisions. Use security. Have alarms. Have your players challenged to actually think and use different tactics. Do I wait for the heightened security to die down? Am I on a time limit? Do I rush in? Add extra layers to the adventure by playing the monsters truly as they should be played, intelligently, for the most part. Um, in short, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think the DMs today should kill more players, should challenge them with amazing stories and not get bogged down in rules and how many books you need to play and whether or not you have the money. It, it can be fun without the use of a lot of money, without spending, tons and tons. That being said, I've an incredible load of things that I bought over the years to play with, but I find that I still have the most fun playing first edition with my best friend Sam that I've played with since 1982 when we first started playing. And even when he dies, we have a great time. But when the character makes it through, when it makes it through an ordeal like that where the player is truly challenged, and they survive, those are the adventures that the players remember the most. The interesting characters, the great story, and how hard it was. Not, I walked through, I killed 20, 30 monsters, I grabbed a lot of loot, and I'm out. Just keep it simple. Don't worry if you have the latest edition of the books or how many books you have, or, you really don't need a whole lot to have fun playing D&D.